Homer
We're live.
Simpson.
We're live. Just what did you forget to send me? Unless you can't tell me.
The Homer Simpson thing.
Oh yeah. Well, okay, I'll make it open with that thing. Welcome everybody. We are officially live. It's Friday. Which means it's happy hour, which means the professor is joining me, and we also have another guest coming on in just a second. This is Armando's buddy, who Armando slyly just throws him in there today, going, "Hey, can my friend come on for just a second?" And I'm like, "Sure." And I have to get all inquisitive, like trying to figure out just who this person is. Turns out he's big time. He's big time in the TV, film, sitcom world, and in my genre of film and TV, like the shit I watch religiously. We'll bring him on in just a second. But Armando Lara, the professor, he hosts Spreewell Was Right on YouTube. Also a professor at UC Berkeley, a tenured professor of sociology. He joins me because it's Friday. It's happy hour. It's a shit show in Warriors land, and we're here to give you an authentic take on all of it. Armando, how are you doing? You ready to go?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. Was looking forward to this all week. It's great.
That's music to my ears, brother. Mm-hmm. And this is on a week where you started teaching again. Class is back, and then I think I'm teaching a class at San Jose State. I think that starts next week. So I'm still technically a professor, going on nearly 15 years. There we go. 2 academics. And then we're going to get a brilliant third person on in just a second as well. We're also going to welcome the audience today because last night Rick Barry was my co-host, and he takes top billing, man. No offense to everyone else, but he's the marquee when he joins us. But today it's back to all of us commoners, and we want more commoners. Let's just all commiserate together. Let's all socialize together. Let's meet up in the King's Market, if we will. The King being Joe Lacob. And we're going to talk about the King. We're going to talk about his minions, including Steve Kerr. Enough of the royalty bullshit. We're powered by FanDuel. This is the Golden Days. Let's go. Welcome to the program. My name is Cyrus Sauces. You can follow me on Threads and Instagram at DogWild, over on Twitter at Surf Journalist. The program, most importantly, on both platforms at Golden Days Pod. The professor right there, you could follow him on Threads at Mando_man10. You can follow him on Twitter at Armando. Let me see if I got this right. Armando Lara M. Is that it? Armando Lara M as in Mary. That's how you follow him on Twitter. He's becoming more active there because the basketball junkies are split up. And then again, we'll bring your friend Evan, who is, again, him and I have been connected on socials, but I knew nothing personally about him until just like 5 minutes ago. We would have started 5 minutes earlier, but the more I learned about him, I was like just blown away. I was more curious to know about his background. So Evan will join us in just a second, but the professor joins me, and FanDuel, let's see if they have a line real quick for tomorrow's Warriors T-Wolves game. And this is a game that's a little interesting because the T-Wolves have lost 4 straight. The Warriors will not have Jonathan Kuminga. We have an update for you on that front. But Minnesota, courtesy of FanDuel, the official sports book of Believe, of Golden Days, they have the T-Wolves favored by 6.5. The Warriors plus 184. If you think they can pull off the upset in Minnesota against the T-Wolves team that, again, is mired in a 4-game losing streak. The OU on that, 236.5. And that over-under suddenly bears a lot more significance when you consider the fact that David Bierman, who was on this show this week, mentioned that the Warriors, at least before the Mavericks game, I don't recall what the OU was on that game, but they were 9 games above. Or they're 9 games above 500 in terms of OUs, meaning the over has hit way more than the under when the Warriors play. So a little tidbit for you there if you want to earn some money. The way this is going, the overs are hitting if you want to put your money down on the Warriors. But the Warriors last night lose to the Dallas Mavericks in a game that was exciting until Kuminga got hurt, and then it just got ugly. It started spiraling. Soon after that, culminating with a fourth quarter meltdown by Draymond Green. Armando, let's start there, man. What was your reaction to that? A lot of the fan base is done with Draymond, and we'll bring Evan in just a second. But I guess besides being curious to know what your thoughts were on last night's game, are you what side of the camp are you right now in terms of Draymond and the fact that a lot of people are just out? They're selling the stock. They feel like Draymond's value with this current iteration of the Warriors is It's a sunken cost is the treatment that I'm seeing from a lot of fans. What's your take on that? And what was your take from the last night's Warriors loss in Dallas?
Draymond, I love Draymond, as the chat knows. I think he's the playoff god, and I think he still is. But that's the reason why I think they should trade him, because he's the guy. He's the actual movable asset on this team, and that has to connect with where I think they need to pivot. Last week, I said this was the most important week of the Warriors franchise since the decision to not trade for Klay Thompson for Kevin Love. And I think Draymond has a ton of value over the league. He proved that when he kind of was the Wemby stopper. And I do think they could get some stuff for him right now. And that's not the case for Jimmy Butler. And then I don't think they're willing to trade stuff. So for that reason, and it's not the reason that other people want to get rid of him, which is some delusional mindset that they think they have an actual chance to make some noise this year or next year. It's delusional. And that's why they should trade him. Like it would be some kind of addition by subtraction. And that, and frankly, what I spoke on last week, that there's a certain element of the fan base that is like scared of Draymond or something because of his antics, and they need somebody more under control. And I really find the politics around that to be a little disgusting. And Draymond is one of the highest IQ players on the team. And I have a lot more to say about the way this team changed in the last week and the way it didn't change, actually. So, yeah, that's what I think about Draymond. I do think they should move him, but not for the reasons other people think.
Get into what the changes are that you want to talk about. Let's do it now.
Oh, man. For one, I have several propositions that I've been thinking about. Me and the cousins have been talking. One, this team lost its head coach with Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler was the actual coach, as said by the ESPN Slater report in October. Jimmy Butler was the actual guy trying to integrate Jonathan Kuminga and make it work. And the person with the title of head coach just throws things out. And Andre Iguodala, Draymond Green, others have said, they're not prepared at all. It's a focus on us playing our way. We don't really prepare for other teams until the playoffs. And so they're the least prepared team. They just throw different lineups out there, see what sticks on the wall, see what shit sticks on the wall. Don't work. And they lost the guy that was actually trying to coordinate things. And it's really showing even in the two games. But
dude, Kuminga, Butler's value. I mean, he was the moment the Warriors lost him, it became so obvious what his value was to this team, man. Like he masked so many issues like that are now glaringly revealing itself. Would you agree with that sentiment?
I think he masked the issue that the team doesn't have a head coach. So other than that, no, I don't think he masked many issues. This is a play-in team. It was before Jimmy Butler, and it was going to be after Jimmy Butler. And I can talk about that a little bit. But, first of all, like this delusion that this team was somehow trending up and they started playing big. They they reduced Podziemski's minutes to 15 minutes a game. Anthony Melton and Al Horford were coming back and they were trending upwards, and they were somehow going to get to the 6th seed. What a effing joke. This people literally fell for the exact soft schedule that they fell for the 30 games last year. I've been speaking on it all. It literally in August, I said they were going to catch back up to 500 and probably go a little bit over 500 at the end of December, at the beginning of January. And that's exactly what happened. If you actually look at the schedule in February and March, we had the Warriors going 2-8 in February with or without Jimmy Butler. You cannot, the way people talk about this team is as if the opponents do not exist.
Yeah.
The only teams that this Warriors team beat, that this Steve Kerr, Steph Curry system was beating, was tanking teams that were literally trying to lose. Draymond Green literally said Charlotte Hornets were tanking. The Jazz sat their guys in the fourth quarter, or teams that are in the quote-unquote dog days of early January, as said by Jimmy Butler, as said by Draymond Green. Dog days, teams that were injured, taking games off. On the end, the Knicks on the last game of a 6-game road trip in the West Coast on a back-to-back Portland missing its two best players, et cetera, and to think that smart people supposedly that know basketball, like light years or freaking Monte Poole or Steve Kerr, supposedly, even Mike Dunleavy said we liked the direction we were heading. What a effing joke. They weren't headed anywhere but the play-in. And were they going to win in that play-in? I don't think so. And and so that's just a preamble to me saying that I think the original sin, and I'll stop here. I'll just tease it. The original sin, and I've said this many times for those fans that know, the original sin was last December when the coach played Dennis Schroeder and Podziemski together for the entire December, and it forced the team to panic trade into a $56 million 36-year-old. That was the original sin, not playing Andrew Wiggins and Jonathan Kuminga together and developing that lineup for 4 straight years, not developing that all-wing lineup and investing time and coaching into that. That was the original
zero
sin.
Development. Yeah.
And
Zero.
that's and as I predicted last week, Jimmy Butler was inevitably going to get hurt because his contribution was a foul grifting, and that was leading to injuries the way he allows guys to undercut him, and that's exactly what happened. And here we are. And it's that was going to happen anyway, Cy. It was going to happen I thought it was going to happen in the play-in or the first round. He'd go down just like he did last year. We've had Jimmy Butler for 2 years, and he allowed guys to undercut him 2 straight years, and he's injured as a result because of the foul grifting. That's his deal. And that's his deal in 2025, 2026. And now it just happened a little bit early, and thank God it did. I know people are sad and they're grieving this team. I mean, I grieved this team already 2 years ago when I realized the coach didn't have it, and that Steph Curry was going to support that coach, and Joe Lacob wasn't going to do nothing about it. And you guys are finally here with me now, and it is time to unleash the tank pivot scenario. It is time. It's ready. We're ready for it. So is this team.
Well, and just a soundbite that I did not get a chance to play last night. And again, last night's postgame show was depressing, considering how that game went. Kuminga with the injury did have a bit of a heartfelt moment when he tweaked the ankle or knee or both, taking that little girl's seat. I don't know if you saw that, because he needed to sit down, and the girl and her family were Warriors fans. So I bet that experience made that girl's life. Like, she's going to remember that until she dies, until the day she's dead. Like, that's always going to be a fond memory. But the game itself was just not fun to follow up on. I almost got Rick to fully admit that the way Kerr has used Jimmy Butler, that there is a direct correlation to injury. He had a hard time buying that premise, but when I responded to him, like, Rick, in your playing days, how would you feel if night after night you had to be defensively matched up against guys like Artis Gilmore, against Bill Walton, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, the elite centers of that era, and he just was like, I would not be behind him. He's like, and he's laughed, he scoffed, and I think what Rick said, which stuck out to me the most last night, and he said it emphatically, is small ball does not win championships. And he made it very clear, if this is the strategy that Kerr continues, it's not going to win a title. And that's all I needed to hear. It's just the validation that size does freaking matter in NBA basketball. But yeah.
Just the 2 points on that thing. On Kuminga smiling and with that little kid, that's a big deal. Jonathan Kuminga has not really had an opportunity to become a marketable person that is safe for a certain kind of fan base. And that was a big moment. And that was on national TV. And I think that'll matter. And
did you like Aaron Turner's response, by the way, on social media to Mike Dunleavy's comment that the demand needs to be there for a trade demand? And then Aaron Turner, who majored in economics in college, posts a simple screen grab of a Google search for supply and demand economic models, and the fact that there will never be a demand if you don't highlight the product, right? Like, if you just leave the product sitting there on the shelf unused, how is anybody going to demand it? How is anybody even going to know about it? Like, it's just, it was fascinating. And you, as someone who is again a tenured UC Berkeley professor who teaches global finance, I thought you get a kick out of that.
Yeah. Sorry, I have a little bit of lag. I might need to reset my modem.
You look fine to us, so whatever's going on, it's good on this end.
Yeah. I actually been itching to comment on the Dunleavy thing because that hadn't happened yet. I don't if now's the time, but I think people are reading it a little bit wrong. I have a slightly different take on it than most people. And last Friday I outlined the way to understand this team is the 3, maybe 4-pronged power struggle fracturing within the organization. And people were treating Dunleavy's comments as a complete shot at Jonathan Kuminga. And that was the interpretation. And it was both the good and bad. Like, how dare you take a shot at your own player? That's bad organizationally. Or got Kuminga. He got Kuminga and Aaron Turner. That was the conflict. But actually, I don't think it was that. In my humble opinion, I don't have any evidence. Just an opinion.
You're pushing back on the narrative that came out from that soundbite, basically.
Yeah, it's just an opinion. So I really think.
So was Dunleavy. So was his statement, for the record. It's also an opinion. Sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah, no. I really think Mike Dunleavy just isn't that smart, and he actually is kind of dim, and people just give him credit. It's just like the Duke thing that I don't Chandler Parsons or what was that Gilbert Arenas called it out. Like, people, he's not dim. It's just people give him credit where it's like not credit is due. If anybody who signed Al Horford after watching him in the Knicks playoffs, something's not clicking right. But he basically misspoke. I think he actually literally just thought, how can I accommodate a player? Because that's what he said right after that sentence. A player's asked to trade, and that's his mind is thinking. Like, okay, there's no demand for it. But if you guys remember, he's dealing with a coach that is not playing him. It's not like the Warriors front office and head coach is unified. It's like, hey, my coach is not playing him. How is there supposed to be a demand if he's not playing? I can't just trade you, Jonathan, even though you want to be out. And I think people need to put those comments within the 3-pronged. And what I meant by the dim comment is, like, he didn't understand that context. He got a little carried away with it. He should have said, he should have said what Steve Kerr, the PR master, said, which is that it's a tough situation and I feel bad for Jonathan and we're all just trying to do our best here. That's what he should have said. That would have been more careful. I'm surprised he went that way. That's why I think it's a mishap. It's a mistake. And
so you think he was too honest? He was just being very frank, is what you're saying about the situation.
I just think it's okay to admit that sometimes we make stupid comments. Like, he fucked up. He messed up. Like, that's a bad, like, it is fireable. It's fireable to mess up like that. Whoever allowed that, if that was a PR, Raymond Richter, he's the god of PR or whatever, like, whoever allowed that, somebody messed up, man. This is corporate America.
I promise you, by the way, Raymond Ritter, who's I know personally, is a very good dude. He is not an architect of propaganda. I can assure you of that, Armando. He might be a messenger, meaning there might be moments where he's getting orders from the top, and what are you going to do? He's a soldier, but I can assure you, like, there's no malicious from on his end, and he's a good dude at heart. But I also hear what you're saying too. Like, he is the head of communications, and this is what's coming out.
I don't know. I mean, I wasn't there. I don't know who approved that, but if it just came from him, from Dunleavy, then it's an employee who made a mistake. And honestly, like, there's been a lot of mistakes, and we've rehashed that over and over again. But anyways, the agent is right, man. The agent is right. Like, either lower the price, meaning lower what you're asking in return, or play him in order to get the value up.
Yeah,
that ain't on Kuminga. It's pretty simple. And any of the Tim Bontemps, Kawakami, all those people that are like reveling in that comment, like, oh, see, they really got Kuminga there. What? I cannot even begin to understate how dim-witted that viewpoint is. It's so myopic. It's goldfish memory. etc., etc. I've said many different words to describe that, but that was the epitome of it. Hearing that.
Hey, Kawakami, by the way, engaged with you on Twitter. Quote
oh yeah, I
tweeting.
got on Twitter for like a day and blocked by Tim Kawakami within.
Did he block you after that tweet?
Oh yeah.
Oh, what a douche. Did he really do that? It was such an innocuous tweet from you. So he quote tweets you and admits fault. And maybe he said it sarcastically, but he did not push back on you. He just was like, yeah, it's me. I didn't realize he blocked you, man. That's ridiculous. That is utterly asinine. What are you going to do? But I want to play this soundbite from Stephen Curry, and then we're going to bring Evan Ball on the show, who, again, I did not realize you and him go way back. Evan and I have been engaging on socials for years. I also did not realize Evan is a brilliant screenwriter. We're going to bring him on, and then we'll Tracy McKendall. I saw you in the chat saying you want to come on. We'll bring you on. Just give us a little, have a little patience if you don't mind. We'll do this soon. But and I also have one quick theory, adding to at least trying to provide some rhyme and reason behind everything going on here, because if you've worked in a corporate environment, some of what's happening does make sense. And I'll explain what I mean. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying this is how it should be. I'm just saying, like, a lot of the egregious bullshit that goes on in the world around us, this is just a microcosm of it. Like corporate politics is, to me, vile, man. It's one of the most distasteful experiences of humanity as a whole, to be forced to work as part of this huge, massive structure and follow all these crazy, inane rules that are forced. But it even goes beyond that. I'll explain what I mean in just a second, because I think that's ultimately, in a large extent, what's going on here. And it would make sense, given Joe Lacob is the ultimate a corporate man. I mean, he's a venture capitalist. That's how he built his fortune. So it wouldn't surprise me if he has like this hierarchical structure and has charts of organizational charts of how people should behave and who they should report to and all that bullshit. And I see that playing out here, Armando. I don't know if you're going to agree with me or not. And we'll bring Evan on as well. And if we have time for anyone else besides Tracy, we'll post the link in just a second. But this soundbite last night made the rounds today, and this is Stephen Curry. I personally have never seen him this existential. You brought up the word myopic. I mean, when you hear what Steph says here, it falls into that same vein. It's very similar in theme. When Steph was asked about the trade deadline, this was his response. Again, this is courtesy of Anthony Slater following last night's game. And let me reorganize this for a second so that I don't get flagged by the NBA. Armando, I'm going to bring you right back. Forgive me, audience. At the moment, this is how we're doing this visually. For the podcast audience, you won't notice a change. But just because the NBA has been very punitive lately, illegally at that, I hope that stops soon. They cannot just go around flagging everybody just because they post press conference videos. That you do not strictly own that content, yet they're acting like it, and YouTube is just bowing to them with these flags, these copyright flags. I digress. I know no one cares about that. I'm just trying to explain why the visuals have changed a little bit with our press conference sounders. Anyways, here is Stephen Curry, again, sounding depressed, borderline. It's sad. If you're a longtime Warriors fan, this is just another piece of evidence that the dynasty is on the verge of ending. And, you know, all good things must come to an end. It's one of the most brutal aspects of life, in my opinion. This situation, no exception. And here is Wardell after last night's game. Worth adding, by the way, the team left 4 hours earlier than scheduled this morning because we have this crazy storm system currently going through the country. They call it a polar vortex, where you have this confluence of storm systems coming from the north and from the east. And it creates this nightmare scenario in our Midwest. And so Texas, Oklahoma, Missouri, they're about to, if they're not currently getting hit with these huge storms, and this system's going to move to the east. So the team had to get out earlier than planned, very early this morning. The temperatures in Minnesota are freezing. I think the highs are -8, and the Warriors are going to be spending the next 4 days there because they have 2 straight games against the Timberwolves. This was before they left. Here's Steph. Interesting choice of coat. I love it. Talking about the trade deadline and the team.
That this injury should change like the overall direction of the franchise.
Trying to win a game on the road. lot of time before February 6th. There's a lot of time before the playoffs. I don't need any existential thoughts right now.
Kuminga gets hurt tonight. He's re-entered the picture recently. What do you think he can still give you despite what's going on overall?
Exactly what he did. All the minutes that he was out there before he got hurt tonight, just pick and choose the spots when he can attack. He made some great .5 basketball plays where he's swinging into open man. If he has a one-on-one situation with space, doing what he does to score the basketball. So it's just a tribute to him just staying ready. I know it's been a while since he played, but the work that he was putting in and understanding how things have drastically changed from one game to the next, he looked good. He looked like he was comfortable out there. Hopefully he's not out too long and can pick up where he left off.
And that's Stephen Curry after the game, having no thoughts about the trade deadline. There is all we're getting so far in terms of reports and speculation about the trade deadline is just that a bunch of bullshit is what's out there. It's I know Mark Stein wrote something using creative verbiage about possibly. I love anytime you see words like possibly. That's when you should really hesitate in terms of reading much into anything. And Mark Stein using words like the Warriors might possibly explore a trade with Miami for Andrew Wiggins. My hunch is he's not going anywhere. My hunch, and I could be wrong, I don't know, but my hunch is Kuminga is going to be on this team past the deadline. The Warriors themselves will use this opportunity to extract his value because there's finally an opportunity for him to play extensive minutes. Side note, the injury report lists Kuminga as out for tomorrow's game in Minnesota, citing knee soreness. The MRI thankfully came back negative. So it's just a matter at this point of a pain threshold situation and how comfortable he's going to be. And that could be a whole other discussion in terms of whether or not his agent, Aaron Turner, is going to be comfortable with him going out there anytime before he's not fully ready. Because the way Kuminga's agent is acting is all about his client's best interest at this point. The whole team ethos, they gave up on that shit, and for good reason, because his client, Jonathan Kuminga, has been treated like absolute shit by Steve Kerr. I know that's an opinion, but it comes as damn close to fact as you can get, and it's really sad that that opinion is borderline factual. On that note, let's bring on Evan Ball to the show. And Evan, if you don't mind me hyping you up here for a second, I don't have your socials memorized, so please tell the audience when I shut up how people can follow you. But you shocked me because we briefly, Armando introduces us before we start recording, and my inquisitive mind, I'm a curious person, and that can be annoying for some. I get it, but it's just a journalist in me. I asked what you do for a living. And the fact that you wrote on season 2 of one of my all-time favorite TV programs, Mayor of Kingstown. Side note, it's a dark show. It's brutal, but damn, is it good, man. Like, I'm riveted. I'm so hooked. I cannot wait for season 5. I'm bummed that it's going to finish in 5 seasons instead of 7, which I think was the original plan by Hugh Dillon, the co-creator with Taylor Sheridan. My point is, this man right next to me, if you love the Taylor Sheridan universe, which includes Yellowstone and the prequels, which includes Lioness, which includes Landman, this dude writes on those shows. Evan, that alone, man, you just blew my mind today. Much respect, reverence for that. But you're also a huge Warriors fan. You two went to college together, so you two go way back. Evan, nice to meet you, brother, on the screen. And besides telling people how they can follow you, what are your thoughts about this whole Warriors mess?
First of all, great to be here. Thank you so much. I appreciate all the praise. You're making me feel like pretty amazing right now.
Deserved.
But you can follow me. I'm Evanistics I'm in the chat as Evanistics. I'm on Threads as Evanistics. I'm not on Twitter, all that stuff. So that's kind of where I Threads is mostly where I do most of my Warriors talk. But
is it the same handle? Are you just on Threads, or is it the same handle everywhere? Or
I'm really just on Threads. I haven't been on Twitter in years, not in any kind of meaningful way. It's kind of a cesspool over there. Although I understand, I get it. There's a lot of media that still operates there.
That's the problem, right? If you want to stay on top of it, you got to be there too, because a lot of folks who actually have important information are disseminating it there. That's the only reason why I'm still there, man. Is just because I'd be out of the loop on a lot of important information otherwise. Sorry to interrupt you, brother, but I feel you on Twitter being toxic. I'm with you on that.
Yeah, man. So, I just wanted to bring a couple things to you guys and see your thoughts, because, as we're talking about the potential trades coming up and all these things, the concept of there has to be demand and whatnot. Like, I'm really sensitive to narratives, right? Oh, by the way, I don't know if you guys see behind me. If you ever go into a train station or a bus depot and you see these turnstiles that are supposed to be like defensive security, but people can just walk right by them or step over them like it's nothing. I wanted to make sure I had Brandon Podziemski's defense on.
I really wish there was something there that had his name on it. That's the only thing it's missing, is just something that says Pods, or
Pods right here,
or a sticker on one of those turnstiles with Sideshow Bob. I think that would be kind of
exactly.
But yeah, so for people listening on the podcast, Evan, his screen behind him has a series of turnstiles, the kind that lets you into like BART, a subway system, and airport, wherever has that level of security.
Yeah.
As a symbol of Podziemski's defense.
Fake security, exactly. Yeah. So I had an observation I'm going to share with you guys, and it's that in the last two games where Kuminga has been able to play, we got 30 minutes, 30 points in 30 minutes. Everybody's talking about how great he is. It's been very apparent for two things, right? Like, one, Steve Kerr is making it clear this is all still happening like on his terms, right? It's the first game he didn't come in until like midway through the second quarter. He comes in, and this last game earlier in the first. But like, most importantly, and this is the thing I don't hear anybody talking about, is he isn't playing with Curry. Curry will be here, Kuminga will be in, they might have 2-3 possessions together, and then Curry's immediately out. And, when we're thinking about this, as Mondo talks about this kind of three-way power struggle and what's going on, it feels like this is one of Kerr's last plays to be able to like not be totally embarrassed. Because if Kuminga comes on and gets heavy minutes with Curry, and suddenly it's working out and they're doing really well, that makes Kerr look really, really bad. Like, he escaped that in the Minnesota playoff series last year because Curry was injured. But now, like, that's kind of the last thing he has to hold on to. And so I'm just making sure I note that. Like, when are we going to see these two on the court together? Like, what level of desperate are we going to get to where it's that? And if you're not going to do that, at what point do we start talking about like, hey, are you sabotaging this team just to make sure you look good as a coach, just so you can hold on to your story that they don't work together, that is clearly not supported by what's on the court? So I want to throw that to you guys, but with one other caveat, because there is another option, and it's the one that I hope isn't the case. And because the other option is that it actually might be Steph Curry that doesn't want to play with Jonathan Kuminga. And I hope, like I said, I hope that's not the case. But when you hear,
it's not.
Here's why I think this. Well, I don't think it, but here's why I think it's an option. When you hear Jimmy Butler talk about Jonathan Kuminga, it's forceful, it's decisive, it's very clear. It's like, he's great, we need him on the court, we need him to win, etc. When you hear Draymond talk about Jonathan Kuminga, same thing. Draymond was even willing to sit on the bench for him in previous season, right? But when you hear Curry, it's still very PR. It's it's like it's a little Kerr, saying nothing, saying the right thing, like everybody tried hard, that type of stuff. This is an unfortunate circumstance. But you've never heard Curry say, like, at least I haven't, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you've never heard him say, I need Kuminga on the floor with me. Like, if we want to win, we got to be in a lineup together, and we need to like show everybody what we can do. So that's why I have a little.
I hear you. Look, on paper, Evan, as someone who's a writer and who creates narratives yourself that folks like me just eat up and go to sleep happy because of it, it makes sense. It makes perfect sense what you're saying. Like, which is why this whole situation is maddening. It's why, like, normally covering basketball is supposed to be fun. It's not supposed to be like a true crime prop podcast where you're investigating like who's the actual murderer here, like what's the conspiracy behind the scenes. But this is how it's played out, and what complicates it tremendously. And I don't know this for a fact, because the only way we can know this for a fact is if Steph is asked this himself and he answers it. But I've had so many sources tell me this behind the scenes, and here's what I'm like 99% certain is happening. And this leads to my theory that I also want to express to both of you. And again, the link is open. I see Julian Bashir, you're going to join us in just a second. Tracy, I know you mentioned in our chat, Tracy McKindle, one of our proud newer Golden Dazers. If you want to come on, the link's in there. Steph is such a company man, meaning, and maybe that's not the right way to put it. Like, Steph is just all about structure. He's all about like knowing your role. And at this stage in his career, he's all about letting everyone else take care of what they're supposed to do, because his plate is full as F-bomb, man. He's got so much shit going on in his own life. And when it comes to priorities, his number one priority above basketball, above championships, above everything is his family. Easily. Like, that's what he's obsessed with in life when he's not playing basketball. Maybe that wasn't true 5-10 years ago when he was still pursuing championships and trying to build a legacy. At this stage in his life, I can tell you this with certainty. Number one concern for Stephen Curry is wife and children. That's hands down. And when it comes to the basketball drama, I would not be surprised if someone leaked or he came out and said, I'm sick of this shit, because that's probably what he's thinking. But he's so loyal to his head coach, Steve Kerr, and they've gone through so many battles together. But going back to the role thing, he's loyal to all his coaches. He was loyal to his coach at Davidson.
Mark Jackson like crazy.
He was loyal to the GM, Larry Riley, who drafted him, thus naming his first daughter Riley after him. He was loyal to Mark Jackson. He's loyal to Steve Kerr. That's how he rolls, man. He's an athlete who strongly respects the coach-player dynamic, meaning I'm your soldier, you're the general, I take orders. But and Steph understands he's like the first in command, and in a lot of ways his voice carries more weight than the coach, but that's his mindset. His mindset is, I'm not here to shake things up. I'm not the GM. I'm not the coach myself. And Kuminga's not going to ever go to him and put him in a spot that's going to make him uncomfortable by saying, yo, Steph, can you like stand up for me? Can you speak up for me? Like, JK is smart enough to know that would make things a little awkward, right? Like he's being a professional. But in Steph's mind, he thinks the professional thing to do is let the people who have jobs do their jobs. And so in his mind, the head coach, his job is to make these decisions. The GM, his job to make his decisions. My job, go out there and play some kick-ass basketball. And whoever they put out there with me, I'm following orders. Is that the right thing to do? Probably not, because he has the cachet to influence huge decisions. But he is, and you could criticize the complacency, certainly, but that's, I can sit here and tell you with certainty that's what's really going on. Is it cool that he's doing that? Probably not. Is it lame? A little bit. But at the same time, it's Steph. I mean, I'm not, and this is where, like, if Steph ever came out and said, I don't like this JK guy, I don't want to play with him, we should trade him, you'd probably just have zero drama, because people will be like, all right, at least now we know that it's coming from Steph. But that's not how he rolls. He's just not someone that seeks drama, creates drama. He just wants to play basketball. He unfortunately has a head coach who, after 2022, developed an even bigger ego than he already had. But that ego became monstrous because in Steve Kerr's mind, he thinks that the formula that won them the championship in 2022 isn't Steph's greatness. It's Steph's greatness plus my genius and how he did things. He had Jordan Poole as the shooting guard. Jordan Poole can easily handle the point guard position. So Steve Kerr takes from that. We want a title with a ball handler next to Stephen Curry. So that's what I have to do from this point moving forward. He also had a team that went 14 deep. So, and that roster was built for that. Every other roster he's had that's won a championship did not go 14 deep. It went 10 deep. But in Kerr's mind, I'm the genius. I won a championship playing 14 guys. I'm just going to keep doing this. Like, Kerr is just out of his mind, man. Like his ego's so out of control. And you as a writer, Evan, I'm sure like you've maybe relished writing characters like that, right? Like just hungry control freaks who think they're responsible for an organization achieving greatness, when in reality you just were in the right place at the right time. But that's my painting of the scenario. Armando, we haven't heard from you in a second, and then Evan will bring back to you. Armando, your thoughts on what Evan said and what I just said?
Armando,
you're muted, brother. See how I say it right away? This goes for everyone who's ever a guest on this show moving forward. I'm muted. Don't let me do that, please. Because I do this. Go ahead, Armando.
Yeah. I mean, I one thing I've noticed about Steph is the last month or 2 months is the irrational confidence factor. Like, I think for a player to play at his elite level requires an insane amount of focus and what I call horse blinders. Like, he is on record. You know, everything I say on this show, I don't make up. I take from quotes. And
you're an academic. You need to remember that.
He said on record, I don't know who we're playing the next game. I never know. So this is a man who doesn't think about the big picture. In order to maintain that focus, and I think that's what the quote you just played really solidified for me. It's like, I can't think about the bigger picture right now. I'm just, in order for me, if I even think about the bigger picture, because frankly, it is what Armando says it is. It's a post-apocalyptic scenario for the Golden State Warriors. Right now, we're in it, and it's literally the Walking Dead Golden State Warriors. So if I literally think about that, me, Steph Curry, then I'm not going to be able to knock down threes. Like it's going to be 2019 all over again. So he has to have tunnel vision, and I get that as a competitor. Like, more props to him. So and Nick Young said this week on the Gilbert Arenas thing, when they were having this exact conversation that we're having, who knows Steph, who's played with Steph on the same team, he said, you know, Steph's not like that. He's a neutral guy. He doesn't that's the coach's job. But frankly, if that's true, guys, like, and I've been saying this in the chat, like, I think that you need to come to grips with what that implies about the end of Steph Curry's career. And we wrote a Substack about this, the way Reggie Miller changed his career when he was Steph's age, the way Tim Duncan lowered his usage twice, not just for Kawhi Leonard, but for Manu Ginobili and Tony Parker significantly. And this is a player that has hitched his star to an anemic motion offense that is the most predictable offense in the league, and it has been for 3-4 years now. Everybody knows what's coming, and and only guys who are allowed to play that look for him first. And if you look for your own shot first, or you try to ease the burden, you try to get there. If you're not a connector looking for Steph Curry, out the game, off the floor, you're not allowed to play. Even if you're a shitty defender, even if you're a turnstile guy with curly hair, as long as you're looking for Steph, you get to play.
And by the way,
because
Evan,
this is all about getting Steph off.
Evan just pointed to the turnstile behind him for the podcast audience because they
and you know what that got? You know what that got them, chat? That got them the play-in tournament 4 or 5 years in a row. I guess 1 year they made the 6th seed.
Yeah. So this will be for year 4 if they make the play-in. At this point, that's not a certainty.
They are the 8th seed. They're lucky to not be the 10th this year. And the fact that he's not able to play at elite level and somewhat understand the bigger picture, that the way they're playing is injury ball, and it was inevitable that this was going this way with Jimmy Butler. Inevitable. The fact that he couldn't see that does factor into his all-time great status when you compare him with the other top 10 players of all time, because he's in that conversation. And I think Steph had, in 2022, I said, if he can pull off one more, I'm going to be arguing at bars that this is a top 5 player of all time, because he really did change the game. But the way the end of his career has gone, and the way he has to maintain irrational confidence without looking at the bigger picture, it does factor in, because some of those all-time greats are able to look at the bigger picture, and they're able to say, you know what, this coach has me on the floor with 3 other guards. And I'm just like, I'm banged up. This injury. Well, I'll stop here, guys. Last thing I'm gonna say, this injury ball to Jimmy Butler and now Jonathan Kuminga, it ain't over yet. Steph's been significantly hurt for a few weeks now. We saw him, I think it was in the Utah game, on the sideline getting treatment. We suspect he was getting injections. I'm not too sure, but he has been playing through. They've been playing this easy tanking team, injury team. They've been playing playoff mode. And I'm telling you guys, another injury's coming, and it will be really, really bad.
And that's a
the
dark
worst thing that could happen.
A very dark prediction that you're making, which could very easily ring true because of the usage and the minutes. It's very concerning. Side note, the Golden State Warriors, the remainder of their schedule, I think they have 36 games left, the fourth most difficult strength of schedule in the NBA for the remainder of the season, which, again, I've hammered this point, and so have pretty much everyone else who's been on the show, that 12-4 stretch that people were so happy about, the 8-game homestand, it was fool's gold. It was against the softest part of their schedule. And it's very unfortunate that the Jimmy Butler injury happened when it did, because they would have needed him desperately for this upcoming remainder of the season. And Evan, I want to throw to you after I play these chat comments, and then Tracy and Julian will bring you on the show as we slowly start to wrap it up. KKS in our chat says, if you pay attention to what Steph doesn't say, then it's really obvious he doesn't want to play with Kuminga. Teo Irvin saying Steph not saying anything says everything. And the reason why I'm going to push back hard on that, and then Evan, let me know what you think, is if he said anything, that is an indictment on his coach. If he decided to come out publicly and say, I want to play with Kuminga, now you're creating drama by contradicting what your head coach wants to do. Him not saying anything does not mean he doesn't like Kuminga. Him not saying anything simply means he's adhering to what his coach wants to do. And again, if you want to criticize him for that, fair. I'm not going to push back hard on that. But again, this is how Steph rolls, man. He's built his whole life on this structure, a hierarchy. Whether it's familial with parents and siblings, whether it's organizational, this is how he rolls, and it served him well for the most part. But it's not serving him well at the end of his career. Evan, your thoughts?
Yeah, I wish Steph Curry was more loyal to himself on the basketball court and not as loyal to Steve Kerr, because it's really biting him in the ass in his career and in his tail end of his career. I agree with you. I do think that the most likely thing is that Steve Kerr is an egomaniac, and he's got to protect what narratives he has left by making sure he doesn't play them together. And, if there's a way that I think is fair to categorize Steph Curry's kind of disposition toward all of this stuff is, he kind of approaches it like how MLK describes the white moderate in his letter from a Birmingham jail. He prefers the negative peace, which is an absence of tension, as opposed to the positive peace, which is a presence of justice. Like that might be how Steph Curry kind of sees his role as a leader on the Golden State Warriors.
Good call. Good call on that.
I want to see. Because
it's easier,
Steph
ultimately, right? That path is easier, correct? To
just
basically
it's easier.
Put your head down and,
Not me. Whatever.
Yeah.
I just want to see them play together, and then we'll really get to see what we're dealing with. And if you see JK and Curry play together, and you see them be successful, and you see everything that Kerr's been trying to sell us for 4 years fall back in his face, then, the discussion of whether the panic trade is going to happen becomes real again, because then it's like, hey, we might actually have something to build on. By the way, on the leadership thing, this is why I actually don't think you should trade Draymond, because Draymond is this person who will speak up in the media, will speak up to the coach, will kind of like take that role that Steph Curry won't. But yeah, otherwise, I agree. I think we might be looking toward rebuild already.
Yeah, and look, Magic Johnson ended his career with, interestingly enough, I believe Mike Dunleavy Sr. was his head coach for the final part of his career when Pat Riley moved on, and they still made it to the NBA Finals. It's not like the world ended Now, Michael Jordan, different story. He finished his career with his original coach, Doug Collins. Now, the Wizards thing, that did not work out so well. But it's not like life ends if your head coach leaves and you get another one. It's just, life goes on easily. And I personally would be fascinated and riveted to see Steph with a different head coach, just to see how that works out. Maybe it's even better. I mean, we would never know unless we saw it, right? I mean, and how can it hurt at this point? Tracy McKindle. One of our golden dazers. How do I structure this? This looks weird. I guess
you can pull me outside.
What's up? No. Evan, you're not going.
Yeah.
You're fine. You're fine. Hold on. I can fix this. I just have to remove this overlay so we can see Tracy properly. Tracy, how are you doing? By the way, welcome to the show. Your first time on the show live. By the way, sorry for not getting back to you on your email. I was going to save that for an email segment. I'm going to start doing just reading emails. I'm starting to get a lot of emails, and some of these are gems. And I don't want to just respond to these people and leave it at that. Like, I actually want to read this content on the show and make them segments. And Tracy, yours included. You sent me this very eloquent email. There we go. Everyone can be seen now. So take it away, Tracy. How are you doing? Nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you too. I am definitely not your typical. You can hear me? Can you
loud
hear
and
me? Okay.
Loud and clear.
I am definitely not your typical demographic, right? A
It's okay. Who cares?
white.
That does not matter. That does not matter at all.
Agent, right? I mean, just not it.
I love diversity personally, and that does not mean that I just love diversity. I don't think life has enough spice in it. So different is good in my book. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. I really I'm afraid that I'm not going to have a lot of profound things to say, but
Okay.
one trade I would recommend: Steve Kerr to the Knicks for Mike Brown.
It's a clean swap. We wish.
Yeah, seriously. Well, they don't like him that much, so you never know. He's on the down with them. I'm wondering if any of you think that, this quote unquote knee soreness is Kuminga's big FU to Kerr.
Mm-hmm. No. I could see that easily. I could see that easily being the case because, as Evan knows probably better than any of us, it's a clean narrative, right? But the truth is, from multiple reports coming out, it was a real injury. And the knee was more concerning to him than the ankle, even though it looked like an ankle roll from initial perception. But again, MRI came back clean. He's listed on the injury report strictly as knee soreness. There is nothing more to it. Now, whether or not, I don't know when we're going to see him play next. That part's a mystery. Who knows? Maybe Kuminga makes drama out of it by going, you know what? I'm just going to sit out as long as I can. Because until
the trade deadline.
Yeah, who knows? Yeah, Kuminga wants out. There's no disputing that. But
no one blames him. Well, I don't blame him.
I don't think anyone on this show does either. I'm sorry to speak up. But I will say this: money talks. And just don't be surprised if at the end of the season, the front office comes to him and goes, look, man, we know this hasn't been fun for you. How does $100 million sound? Moods can change in a hurry if you throw a lot of money at it. I think. I don't know. I could be mistaken.
I also wonder if Dunleavy, this comment that has gotten so much, play, if it was really his way of subtly saying to Kerr in the media, maybe you need to play this guy. You agree, Armando? It can have been interpreted so many ways. It's very interesting to me. Has he followed up? Have there been any follow-up questions to him about what he meant or didn't? No.
Well, he doesn't. Mike Dunleavy Jr. does not address the media often. He's. I was honestly a little surprised he even had that press conference. It was very last minute. Unannounced and by design, probably so that you don't have a huge contingent showing up to bombard him with a series of follow-up questions. It was an in and out, he ducked in, ducked out, and otherwise he does not. And that's where him and Bob Myers are very different. Like, I literally 3 weeks ago reached out to Bob after not talking to him for like 5 years, just to see if he'd come on the show. And he was so gracious, got back to me, brought up the show, congratulating me on the program's success, and he's a magnanimous individual, and he's open. He's he there's a reason why I have his number on my phone. But Mike Dunleavy Jr. plays it very differently. Like, he holds his cards very close to his chest. as you hear him in press conference settings, like he'll say one thing and then the team does something different 2 days later. I think it remains to be seen, just my opinion, whether or not he is a good GM. I don't know if he's done enough for us to have a judgment on that yet. Like, I don't like the Podziemski draft pick, but I do love the Will Richard draft pick. I didn't love the Al Horford signing. Was there any free agent signings we do like? DeAnthony Melton was a good one. I don't know if he was worth $13 million 2 years ago, but we have him now. So
Anthony Lamb. Anthony Lamb. I'm glad I get you guys all to laugh. That one.
You know the funny thing about that is, Tracy, that Anthony Lamb was a two-way player, and that's far less of a GM thing. Like, the coaches get very
that's
involved.
right. Sorry.
No, it's okay. And because that was a Bob Myers season. That was his last year. But I can guarantee you this. Bob Myers did not expect Anthony Lamb to become a 20-minute-a-night guy when he signed him to a two-way contract. Like, that was not part of the plan. I can promise you that. But anyways.
Hey,
another moment of genius of the Warriors.
Armando,
yeah, couple things I want to say. One, if Brandon Podziemski doesn't get a contract from the Warriors this year, he's going to be the next Anthony Lamb. He won't even be in the league. And second thing I want to say is injuries. What you got? It's a prediction for the rest of the year. Injuries are not a binary in the NBA. It's not injured, not injured, fake injury, real injury. Injuries are on a continuum. You get nicks and bruises, like Steph Curry and Draymond are super beat up right now, and they've been playing through those injuries because they've been going playoff mode for the last 2 weeks while the rest of the league is resting. That's why they were going to go 2-8 in February, and nobody in the chat should think otherwise. But now what you're going to see is players like Jonathan Kuminga, Steph Curry, Draymond Green, when they get a little nicked and knacked, they're not going to play through it because there's no reason to.
right.
And you're going to see a lot of like, okay, sitting out. Like that's how you kind of give up on a season. It's not, I'm not playing anymore. It's, my back's hurting and my ankle's hurt. Like, I'm not going to go through it because I need motivation to do that. They just lost it. And it's going to be a slow realization over time, Warriors fans catching up to that reality. But that's where it's going. The injury ball is not over. It's just started. So,
Chad, what's your or panel? What's your reaction to Barber NBA in the chat? Who's going to defend Kerr apparently? And Barber, I'm waiting for that invite to your show. Let me know when I'm coming on, so we can have a fun discourse. And I'll bring you back on as a return favor. But Barber in the chat is echoing the old line, which I've dispelled numerous times, largely because, again, let's say the Warriors draft someone different. Let's say they have these hypothetical better drafts. How do you know Kerr's going to play any of these guys? Like, let's say Alperen Şengün or Trey Murphy, Jalen Johnson are drafted instead of Moses Moody. How do you not know he's only going to get 10 minutes a night? How do you not know he's going to get banished to the end of the bench? There is no way to properly evaluate, in my opinion, any of these draft picks based on how Steve Kerr uses them. Thoughts?
Remember that whole thing that we that funny night when we were all saying Kerr would DNP Kareem, Kerr would DNP, like all of those. That was so funny. I tried to revive that a couple times, but no one was kidding.
Tracy, that's pretty good.
Anyway, I worry that, if Kuminga isn't playing or is traded or whatever, that Steph is still going to essentially be trying to play hero ball until he, goes home in a body bag. Armando, right?
That's what Armando's saying. Yeah, that's what Armando's concern is. And I think it's a justifiable concern. Tracy, we're up against the clock
play as much as he's allowed on the court.
Yeah, exactly.
Because of that irrational confidence. That irrational confidence he's not thinking about. He's just okay, I'm just gonna go, and it will result in an Achilles. It will. Like that you guys think the hamstring was bad? Do you really want that? That's what happened to Kobe. That's literally what happened to Kobe.
You're right.
They were.
I don't even want to think about that, dude. Evan, what are your thoughts? Eddie's 757 in our chat wants to know your thoughts, Evan.
Yeah, I'm gonna go even further. It's not even that like Kerr doesn't have the pieces to play with. I think it's the opposite. I think Kerr has the exact roster he wants. He's been able to by use of playing time or not playing time dictate from the coach's seat who is and isn't on the team. He's been trying to do it with Kuminga for years. He was able to do it. And, the front office has obviously worked against him in some ways. Finally you get rid of Anthony Lamb, or you do things like that. You bring in Jimmy because you're like, hey, we need help. And you pay him so much money, Kerr can't bench him. But, Kerr has the type of team he wants. He has 900 guards. He has everybody under 6'6". He has what he's looking for. So there's no I'm sick of the narrative that's like, oh, what's Kerr supposed to do? What's Kerr supposed to do? No, Kerr has been doing it for years now, and he's been able to dictate the type of team he wants. And now he has it, and he's putting it on the court, and he's using 4-guard lineups, he's using 3-guard lineups, and he's playing everybody out of position. So yes, this isn't an accident. This isn't bad luck or bad drafting or whatever. This is by Kerr's design.
Yeah.
This is the team he wants.
And this is where, Evan, to me, if there's any culpability that should be laid on the front office, it's in enabling this. It's in doubling down on Steve Kerr's wishes and following through on his designs. And this goes back to the theory that I've been thinking about that I believe is the reason behind the lack of action from the front office, and I've experienced this myself in a corporate environment where Joe Lacob likes Steve Kerr personally, right? And they have a good relationship. They won 4 titles together. I don't know how often they communicate, but Joe clearly has an affinity for Kerr. If he didn't, I think Kerr would be blown out by now. But he also has an affinity for Jonathan Kuminga. So I feel like what Joe Lacob's trying to do here is force a square peg into a round hole by having these two make up and work together. And he's just trying to force this thing when it's never going to work. And that's oftentimes what you see in corporations. If you have 2 employees that are not getting along together, but there's no egregious violations going on that would bring in HR, you're typically going to have your figureheads trying to make peace between these 2 people and to force them to work together, because that's oftentimes what is going on in a corporate environment. That's how it works. Like in corporations, if things don't fit or don't work, you don't just fire people on a whim and move on. You force these people to work together, and you force them to make it work. And oftentimes you force them to make the decision to move on to that point and find a better job. And that's the feeling I'm getting with Joe Lacob's quote unquote leadership as the CEO essentially of the Golden State Warriors. He wants his employees to work together. He sees Steve Kerr as someone who brought great success to this organization. I don't doubt that he sees also the last 4 years, and it's been very disappointing. And then he sees Kuminga as his bright, flashy toy that he has belief in and he wants to see work. And unfortunately, he just keeps trying to force this shit. And if you've experienced this in a corporate environment, you can understand how frustrated someone like Kuminga particularly is in a situation like this, being told to just shut up and eat it. It's like, dude, look, no, especially his generation, they don't put up with this shit. And I have a lot of respect for Gen Z. I know no generation is perfect in this total generalities that I'm speaking in here, but Gen Z, from my teaching experience, and Armando as a professor, I don't know if you've experienced this as well. You can't just force shit on them. They're not cool with that. I don't even think millennials are that cool with that. But that is not a style of leadership that I think works in 2025. You got to treat everybody differently. You got to understand every individual's wants and needs. And if you want the thing to work, you got to at least do your best to make everyone copacetic in their situations. And I just don't think Joe Lacob has taken that approach. And I could be wrong on that. Tracy, any final thoughts? We're running up against the clock. Armando Laura is going to big league us. He has to leave to have dinner with his cousins, which is more important than the show. I'm kidding, Armando. I'm teasing. But Tracy, I want to bring Julian Bashir on before we bail. Any final thoughts from me, Tracy? And you're obviously welcome to come back on a future show.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. It's really fun to meet you guys in person-ish. So thank you so much.
You too, Tracy. Thank you. Beautiful. And one final guest for the evening, Julian Bashir. You got to make it short and sweet tonight, bud. Is that okay?
Yeah, I do. I got some points. Just want to say, Tracy, you were amazing. So happy that you jumped on the show, Tracy.
Second that, big time.
Yeah. Let's see. Did either one of you hear that Nick Young Armando, you said you watched the Gilbert podcast. Nick Young said that the Warriors don't practice, and that's been a idea of mine for a while, and he confirmed.
So did Boogie. Boogie said that too.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's one of my rapid fire points that I want the chat to know and like let that sink in that this team does not practice, because there's no way that a player as talented as Kuminga is getting shafted if you actually practice, because I'm pretty sure he would be destroying guys on the court.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing, yesterday you had Rick Barry on, and you read one of my comments where I said that we had a bunch of starters that couldn't dunk. You know, it's a joke, but what I mean by that is that yesterday we had Buddy Hield playing power forward. Do you understand that? Like we had a situation where Buddy Hield was playing power forward, and I forgot who the starters were. It was like Gee and then Green and Pods. What I mean by that is that, and Rick Barry said, "Oh well, jumping." And like Rick Barry's 6'7", 6'8" in his heyday, and so I'm okay with a bunch of 6'7", 6'8" guys that only have like maybe a 28-inch vertical. But when you have a bunch of 6'4" below guys that do not have a vertical, to me that translates to you can't move side to side, you can't run up and down the court as fast as everyone else, you can't finish. How many blown layups did we have yesterday from Pods and GP2? GP2 is we have to understand GP2 is over 30, so yeah, he can still dunk, but he's not dunking the way he was 4 years ago, and he only was able to stay in the league because he's a clamp down defender, but he's no longer a stop defender. So he still has some athleticism and can hit the corner three, but the thing that kept him in the league as a defender, he no longer has. So what I meant by that is that we can't have even Moses Moody. He's 6'5" and 6'6" in shoes, but he's not athletic. And this is why we're struggling to even rebound. Armando brings it up all the time when you see Al Horford and guys just grab the rebound over his head. Having the ability to have strength in your legs and speed matters in this game. So it wasn't just like I just say dunk, but it's the overall athleticism. That's
and Julian, just to add to that, like oftentimes what you're talking about with these players is they're not playmakers, meaning they can't create their own shot. Often, like Moses Moody, for example, like if you find him wide open for a three, that's awesome. But if he's playing one-on-one basketball in an isolation situation, that's not his strength. That's also not Al Horford's strength. That's not GP2's strength. That's not Brandon Podziemski's strength. Yeah, you're surrounding Steph with four of those dudes and expecting Steph to do all the work. In what world is that a recipe for success?
Yeah, we have a team of good basketball minds, but bigger, better, and stronger will always win, no matter how. Like you can know the playbook at the back of your hand, but if someone's just more athletic, faster, and more talented, and you have more of those guys on the court, I think we're a 500 team because we have high IQ, but we're not rolling out our best athletes. Another point I wanted to make was that you can really see the shift in, I believe, a lot of the league players and GMs and overall teams. So that whole thing, the demand is not there. When's the last time that you saw a player demand a trade, and when he checks in after being DMP'd, the fans give him a standing ovation? All right. The only time I remember that is when Kobe demanded a trade, and the Lakers still cheered for him because they knew that, what you're putting around Kobe doesn't make sense. And I believe even the fans in Warrior in San Francisco, they understand how this kid has been treated, and they're giving him a standing ovation. And I love what Armando said about that when we saw Kuminga, laughing with the little girl at the Mavericks game yesterday.
Yeah.
If you pay it like Kuminga's personality has not been able to spotlight, but if you see when he comes to the arena, he has the big hoop earrings. He's dressed in like all leather. He has a personality that's waiting to explode that Kerr has suppressed. And I'm pretty sure as soon as he gets on another team, and I think the lower of the possibilities of him staying, you're going to see a marketable superstar that because he has a great smile, very put together, but he has a bit of that fashion walkway style, and he has a great. I think one reason why Kerr doesn't like him is that he's very goofy and jovial. Like
maybe Julian, we got to run though, man. We're up against the clock. I'm so sorry, brother.
Yeah, that's it. And our last thing I'll say is that Austin Rivers, he has a great podcast where he said that he knows the Kuminga camp, and he said that he's not going to say, but Kerr doesn't like him, and it's personal. So I'll drop that.
Wow.
Ooh, there you go.
Really?
Austin Rivers has strong opinions on this on his podcast.
Mhm.
Evan, your boy Armando has to ditch. Otherwise we keep going. It's all Armando's fault. I'm teasing, brother. I love you. Evan, this was an absolute pleasure. You got to come back on the show, man. We got to just have a call. I just want to pick your brain about just
man, anytime.
Your professional life, dude. It's an incredible career you got going. Congrats. Any final thoughts? And then we'll finish up with Armando.
Oh no, final thoughts for me. I want the most success for this team. I want the most success for Stephen Curry, and that just isn't going to happen with Steve Kerr, who's an old dog without new tricks and unwilling to learn new stuff. That's what reality is right now. So we got to move forward.
What the F is fashion saying? Damn it, Armando. Damn it. I'm kidding. I love you, man. And if Armando, finish it up for us and say goodbye. Finish the show in general. We'll see you tomorrow night, folks. Warriors, T-Wolves post-game. Armando, finish up.
Great show today. Great show today with Tracy, Julian, Evan, Cy. Like, that was a lot of fun. It feels so good to find a community of people that are like-minded, even though this is a minority of Warriors fans that are not just true believers. It's still a significant majority that's growing, and it actually feels good that that's why I love doing this. It's not like I get paid to do this. It's just fun to hang out and talk.
Hopefully soon.
People see the game in the same way, that actually are intelligent and want to talk intelligently and critique the coach intelligently. That is a unique thing in the Bay Area. So I'm happy. I hope we keep it going and, onward to the next chapter. That's what's so exciting about this last week. The next chapter is upon us right now.
Armando, if you don't mind, give Evan my contact info. Just shoot him a text with my number. Evan, let me know anytime you're available to join me for a post-game show. The invite's always open with Armando. I'm always down to have someone with me, man. Sharia joins me sometimes, but it doesn't hurt to have a second of voice, a different perspective, and you're clearly a very bright mind, brother. Thanks for joining us, man. Anything else? Are we done? We're finished? That's it? I guess leave them wanting more, right?
You guys can keep going. I do gotta go.
I gotta go too. I gotta eat some food, man. Evan, brother. And Evan again. The Taylor Sheridan universe. Do you ever talk? Oh, he literally bounced.
He has to go now.
Before I can't help talking about the Sheridan universe. You've watched Sons of Anarchy, right? Because that's where Taylor Sheridan got his. I'm guessing where he cherry picked. What's the guy who was the showrunner for that? Kurt.
Kurt Sutter.
Kurt Sutter was Kurt Sutter the influence for Taylor Sheridan? Is what I'm trying to ask.
I don't know. Taylor Sheridan. I've only talked to him directly a few times, but he's definitely his own guy. He's got a million thoughts in his head, and he's very clear about what he wants to achieve, and he strikes me as a guy who's like had clarity of vision for a very long time and clarity of perspective. So even I could see even, being an actor on that show and doing all that, he was like, this was always what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
So, I'm the beneficiary of it. Like, I've worked on multiple shows of his, and maybe more coming up depending on how things go. So just pretty happy to be in that camp. It's a good group of people.
Dude. And,
Congrats. They have a hold on a certain type of Americana that everyone's really connecting with. So,
but it's not political. You see a lot of people, and maybe they're. I don't know if the right way to label them is like fanatical liberals, or because I don't really get it from the conservative side that much. But you have this fringe that just gets offended by a lot of the content, and it's like, just chill, dude. Like this is not actually like I don't see anything in here that's offensive. If anything, it's just capturing the reality of the world we're living in, which isn't always perfect, man. There's a lot of gray. It's very rarely black and white.
Even some of the stuff like not to get too inside baseball. I know we're on a Warriors show, but there's definitely, even on like Mayor Kingstown, which can get dark and can get gritty and violent and all that stuff. Like, there's stuff that sometimes doesn't even make it into the show because it's like, maybe that's a little too far, because you're just like, you're in a room of people and everybody's like stuck in the tone of the show, and they're trying to figure it out, and they're trying to make sure that it's simultaneously like real for the world of the show, but also has maybe a little bit of shock value, or maybe a little bit of something that you're not expecting that's gonna like hit you upside of the head. So there's always stuff like that.
That's amazing. Did you meet Jeremy Renner when you were working on season 2?
No. So production is in Pittsburgh, and usually when we would write, not even usually, the writer's room is done by the time they start filming.
Gotcha.
Sometimes there's some overlap, but often you're done.
So you're pre-production.
That's that short. Yeah. So you're in that, and like, you might be on a Zoom call or something like that, or especially now, kind of post-strike, there are more rules about making sure you get writers out to set. So like, but things can be different depending on the show and kind of how it's run. So I didn't personally get to meet Jeremy Renner, in meetings and on emails and stuff like that. But from everything I hear, he's a great guy, and everybody enjoyed working with him. And I know he wanted to make sure they had at least 5. So they were really happy to get through 5 seasons of the show.
That's good.
They were all proud of.
And I'm sure they're grateful for the words you're putting on paper that makes them look good. And my last thought for now, because I got to run too here, and I'm sure you got to go. One of the many brilliant things I think Taylor does, and to a greater extent, folks like you who are also part of these productions, especially in the writing room, is sometimes knowing when to not write words on a script for a character. Meaning sometimes silence, the impact of that, is greater than any verbiage you can add. And Taylor has such a good grasp of visual aesthetics. You brought up Americana. Like he has a way of actually capturing that on screen in terms of what that is, and the beauty of open space. He has an incredible eye for. But then again, like with Mayor of Kingstown, there is no open space. That's just grid, and he's still even capturing that. It's just, he's magnificent. I'm riveted. Everything he produces, except for that one movie with Angelina Jolie, I thought that was kind of like meh. But nobody's perfect. You know what I'm talking about? Like
no, I forget what that movie is.
It was some firefighter movie. And Angelina Jolie stars as like a firefighter. The whole thing was. I forgot the name of it, but that thing was. And when I found out Taylor Sheridan was attached, I was a little surprised. I was like, this doesn't feel like a Taylor Sheridan movie. This doesn't feel, I would have never guessed he was behind this, but, and I don't know if Angelina Jolie just kind of takes away from everything else when she's the star of a movie. It makes it hard to really focus on the little things, which oftentimes is what shines in his productions. But I literally just watched the season finale of Landman last night. I don't know if you like that show. That's thoroughly entertaining. It's damn good stuff.
I am behind on Landman. I'm sure you won't be surprised, but I get a million show recommendations, and there's a lot of things I got to watch. And I'm sure, everyone's like this now. My queue is so long, so I'm very behind on Landman.
What do you? 2 questions before we go, Evan, and we'll finish it up here. What are you watching? And one more time, how can people follow you on Threads and anything else you want to promote?
Yeah, I'm on Threads at Evanistics. It's the same as my name in the chat right now. My favorite show right now is The Diplomat. On Netflix with Kerry Russell. It's a really good show that's kind of a mix of some foreign policy stuff, a little bit of espionage, and like State Department front facing like PR things. And I really like, I was a big fan of The Americans. I like these shows where it's
that show. Yeah.
On the surface level, we're seeing one thing that's going to be in the news or be in the conferences or whatever. And here's kind of the behind the scenes of like how the movers and shakers really operate.
I went 2.5 seasons into that. The first 2 seasons I loved. Season 3, it went about 3-4 episodes, and interest started to wane. I started to just get a little too much into the like Kerry Russell and to me, what was really interesting, besides all the diplomacy content, was the relationship with her and her husband. I thought was interesting.
Yeah.
But in season 3, they kind of veer away from that, and it's just her like staying in London and having like flings. And I'm like, you know what? I'm kind of. I started losing interest. How far along are you in that show? Are you all caught up?
On The Diplomat?
Yes.
I'm still working my way through the current season.
Let me know what you think, because it wasn't until the middle of season 3 that I suddenly was like, what else is on? But the first 2 seasons I was riveted. The American is fantastic. Speaking of FX, the show Clipped is officially next on my list. And I say that because Ramona Shelburne of ESPN, who's going to be back on hopefully with us soon, she was a producer on the show Clipped. And FX, everything they do, I feel like everything. I've never seen a bad FX show. I don't know what the formula is there. I watched Under the Banner of Heaven a short time ago, and that was a phenomenal show. I thought it measured up to the book phenomenally. But I'm gonna watch Clip next. I don't know if you're aware of that program with Ed O'Neill playing the part of the LA Clippers owner Donald Sterling, that racist piece of trash, and his disgraced legacy. So have you seen that? Or
no, I haven't, but I have nothing but kind words for Everybody FX. I've developed something with them in the past. It's a good group of people, a good group of execs, and when you're trying to put an idea together, when you're trying to bring a show to reality, there's a lot of ways in which like actually getting something to the air is a minor miracle, and getting something to the air that's actually good is even more difficult. And the people at FX care a lot about it being good, which is like no shade, but there are many places where that's not the top priority, and so I think that's why you can
name on any organization where that's not the top priority. Quality should also be always, in my opinion, be a priority number one. It sucks that that's not the case. I mean, I feel like if you focus on quality, everything else should fall into place, regardless of what
ideally, yeah.
Ideally, yes. Ideally, I guess. All right, brother. Well, Evanistics is your handle on Thread.
Yes, sir.
We're spending about 5-10 minutes there talking about TV, and I'm a huge film TV junkie. I feel like we're in the golden era of television right now, just because of all the investment that's going so much more so into TV scripts and less into film. And I don't know if economics is driving that, but this is the golden age. I think there's phenomenal content.
Happy to hear that.
I don't see what the point is. There's so much good shit, You got Warriors basketball, you got shows you're doing and everything. Well, why are you leaving your house? I mean, I get there's food out there and there's shit to do. If you're young, go live. But at a certain point, man, if you're a homebody like me, there's a good reason for that, because you got folks like Evan here just writing fantastic content for our screens. Anyways, are we done? We good? Any final thoughts?
No. Go Warriors.
Go Warriors. Thanks, everybody. Back tomorrow night. Bye-bye.